Synchronicity University has an incredible January 2024 and year of 2024 coming up. And for a very limited time, you can choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class for superstar astrologers like Stormy, Grace, Cameron Allen, and so many more. Keep an eye out for our upcoming programs. This is the moment, this is the time to cultivate greater love and wisdom and knowledge and insight to your astrological practice. SynchronicityUniversity.com, links are in the description below. Hello, fabulous superstar Taurus. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of December 2023. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological month, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. The 12th of the month is when we will have this month's new moon. Now, this is an interesting new moon. It is making some challenging connections, especially with Neptune, and also close in the sky to Mars as well. And so what this suggests is an energy of malaise or disappointment. And I'm so sorry to say, but it does happen. But we have this massively important saving grace happening with this full moon. On the one hand, we get a supremely harmonious connection with the North Node, which does suggest, even if there's a sense of uncertainty in this moment, whatever's happening is part of the unfolding of greater love and greater wisdom in our lives, individually and collectively as well. But it is hours after this new moon that we get Mercury going retrograde on the 23rd, moving retro back into this part of the sky for you where we get this new moon, with Mercury going direct on the 1st of January in this same part of the sky. All is not as it seems on the surface. Just when you think you've lost, you may find even bigger gains are coming up just around the corner. So pace yourself and be yourself, as I like to say. This is a part of the sky for you that has to do with profound change, profound truth. It has to do with your understanding of power, the power of emotions as well. It has to do with what has been taboo to you, what you previously didn't even want to look at as part of you. And on a more mundane level, I think a lot of Taurians are going to experience this energy in the context of your relationship with financial institutions. And so let's start there. Grants, loans, bursaries, insurance payments, tax returns, or benefits that you qualify for. There might be a focus now on trying to secure funding of some kind. It looks a little uncertain. It looks like it can feel as if just as you start making gains, maybe not so much, just when you thought you knew what it was that needed to be completed, what document needed to be submitted, you find that there's another layer of consideration here. But for all that, remember, whatever seems to be happening around that new moon, pace yourself and be yourself, as I like to say, but know that there's no final answer, especially not until we are moving through January and into a new year. What feels lost actually is just a beginning towards greater wealth than you've known before. And more personally, this can be a time of a lot of emotions. And it's almost like I'm seeing a spilling of emotion, like just a lot of wasted energy at this time. Maybe obsession or over analyzing something, but not really looking at it from a healthy, detached perspective. More like a perspective that feels like it gets all your emotions in there. So just try to breathe through these times because that square to Neptune isn't easy. Mars being so close to this new moon as well does suggest that energies and passions are running very high. And where it is that you are striving to put yourself in a position of greater power or go on new pathways, it's almost like I'm seeing what you thought you really wanted, the changes you were really, really hoping for and you were so invested in. It feels as if you may need a little bit of time to actually acclimate yourself towards what it is that you thought was going to be so incredible. That sense of uncertainty or disappointment might be your perspective or just a need to be patient with yourself at this time. So this can go for just about any profound change that you might be going through, some process of transformation you may be undertaking now. It will be rewarding, but what it actually requires, and a sense of the universe really being on your side as part of moving through the transformations that are now underway, well, chances are it's going to just take a few weeks for you to find a flow, but once you do, you'll be glad for it. We are going to end the year on such a high note. I absolutely love this. We are going to have a very fortunate full moon energy on the 27th. The full moon is taking place in a communicative part of your sky, having to do with synchronicity and the news that you're hearing. We've got beautiful energies surrounding this full moon. The full moon itself speaking in harmony with Jupiter and in supreme harmony with Saturn. So whatever seems to be changing the news that you're getting, it seems to bring with it blessings that will last for a long time to come. But the same day, with precision, that we have this lunar energy, we are going to have one of the more fortunate days of the year. Now, normally the luckiest day of the year is when the sun meets Jupiter in the sky. Now, that's going to be taking place once we navigate further. That's going to take place in the spring of 2024. But when the sun trines Jupiter, it is a very close second. And that's what we have intimately involved with this energy at this time. You add to it that Jupiter is standing still at the height of its power, closer to the Earth than it might otherwise be, going direct New Year's Eve. And on January 1st, Mercury goes direct as well. All of this is to say, as we're moving towards the end of the year, it is a heightened time. There is a lot of energy, but there's a sense of things changing, a shift of directions that on some level feels really fortunate to so many of us out there. And so remember, like I said, this full moon energy is happening in a communicative part of the sky. It has to do with documents and letters and emails, and it has to do with sort of being in the right place at the right time, connecting with the right person, making all the difference for you now. But it also has to do with the siblings, cousins, and neighbors in your life. Now, for some Taurians, there might be a sense of just feeling happier in your thoughts, feeling hopeful, getting good news related to a sibling, cousin, or neighbor can happen at this time. For other Taurians, this is likely going to be a time that feels more consequential than that. The good news that you're getting really helps shift your energy, really serves as a point of relief or release of some kind. Learning and curiosity are covered by this part of the sky. This does suggest it would behoove you to trust where it is that your instincts and impetus are taking you. They could end up being topics and spaces and places of great and good fortune navigating forward from here. Now, where it comes to matters of love, on the 4th of the month, Venus moves into your opposite sign. This is incredible love-oriented energy for you. It tends to make it that much easier to connect or keep connections with people with real long-term potential there. But consider this as well. That new moon taking place on the 13th, that part of the sky has to do with vulnerability and intimacy and sharing more of yourself honestly with another person. And that can be tricky here, right? Because as much as we have this energy, that sweetness and light with Venus, we also have that sense that if it is that this is a person or someone comes into your life, or might be your own suspicion, it might actually have to do with another person. But yeah, there's this sense of not being sure, feeling like maybe you're being manipulated, or are there games being played here? And I'm so sorry to say, but it does happen. If that is the case, though, you'll be able to recognize it, especially right around the days of the new moon. Not easy, and I know that can be disappointing. And yet, for all that, there's faith in love and every reason to believe in love, thanks to Venus in a partnership part of your sky. So for those of you open to meeting someone new, that Venusian perspective really is about being able to attract people who have real long-term potential here. Now, the other layer of understanding to this, though, with that new moon energy, it can be a valuable time to examine yourself, to ask yourself important questions as part of moving towards the changes you desire, which might include being open to greater love. But just be sure that you stay kind to yourself in the process. That's going to help you more than anything to feel connected to a spirit of love within that opens you to the kind of love that you're actually going for. For those of you just starting to date someone, well, I love Venus's position in your opposite sign because it does suggest that you're looking at this person as more and more potential partnership navigating forward from here. What we have, though, with that new moon energy mid-month, it could involve learning something about this person. Maybe they are talking and they say too much, or maybe you end up talking and you end up saying way too much. And it could leave one or you feeling vulnerable or exposed in some way. In some cases, it might be now that as a result of what is shared, you have real doubts about whether or not this is someone to navigate forward with. I like to say, and I know it isn't always easy, and especially with a new moon energy like this, that person that you are on a first or second or third or fourth date with, that person is not your therapist. However, certain connections bring out a feeling that maybe you are in a therapy session. If that ends up being the case, well, on the other side of it, you'll have to make sense of it and figure out what it's going to mean for you, whether you're moving forward with this person or not. And for those of you in an established bond, what a remarkable time this can be. So that new moon energy mid-month could be playing out in terms of your partner's income. But remember, especially with that Mercury retrograde on the 23rd, moving into the same part of the sky that the new moon took place in just 10 days earlier, 11 days earlier, that is rather interesting because, again, it just suggests that if this energy is showing up in terms of your partner's income, feels like just when you know you really don't, and it feels kind of uncertain around the new moon, then you're revisiting things as part of understanding how to bring about greater stability. Financial opportunities they thought were gone could come back around, especially the last week of this month. For all that, though, this energy might not play out financially at all for many Taurians out there. And it could be at this time that there's a greater sense of sharing between you and your partner mid-month, a greater sense of intimacy as well. However, if there's been any disappointment in the past or maybe in the present as well, it feels like it is right on the surface. It needs to be addressed. And if the two of you can approach it with respect and responsibility, well, you'll be able to work through just about anything, as I've seen people do again and again. Mars being so close to this new moon, though, a lot could be stirring. If it is that has been a pattern in your relationship, well, this could be that stir as part of figuring out whether or not you're in the right relationship for you and what you want to do about it. I do think that there's an all or nothing quality given where this new moon is taking place. Even if you don't know what you're going to do with whatever realization you have, the realizations will be there. What I love about this month for you, there's so much here. It's a valuable and meaningful astrological moment. It really is all about that full moon towards the end of the month on the 27th. That full moon energy we are building towards through those key holiday season dates, but it's also energy that we will be carrying forward as we finish off a year. But New Year's Eve, bringing Jupiter direct, this set of days is set to be extremely fortunate, but you do need to be proactive with it. That's how Jupiter likes to operate. And so take some step towards you having the right conversation, communication, maybe spending time with a sibling, cousin, or neighbor, maybe being out and about, doing your own errands. These types of activities open up pathways from which the universe can then use to help usher in massive blessings, which are absolutely possible for you now. Thank you so much for watching. You can get a video like this each week for each sign for just $3 a month with Choose Your Membership Rate at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive horoscopes, access to live events. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity, university events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Well, I hope you have a wonderful end of year. I hope you have an incredible full moon. It'll be a great month. Enjoy.